And hello, folks. Let's try this again. Don't have my mother screaming on the phone. Okay, a lot of cyber attacks on a lot of systems. You have to be careful, update your equipment. Like I said, a lot of systems are being cyber attacked left and right. Okay, by everybody. Because the Democrats dropped the ball and all hell is breaking loose. Okay? So we're keeping it fairly simple. Yes, I'm Normie the Sheep. I'm a friend of DOE. So we have to keep it simple. Oops, wrong one. Okay. And we have to keep it simple for Dad on YouTube. 3rd year of SHTF, 2nd year of World War III. That's good. I'm a rocket scientist. All right. This is for everybody complaining about the heat and about the weather. And I'm warning people, you should be very, very careful. This is a super El Nino year. It's CO2, CO2. I'm Canadian. It's CO2. I want carbon tax, everybody. Oh, God, that hurt. Okay. No, won't do it on that one because people don't understand. Okay, we'll use that one. God, I'm tired. Okay. Before we go on, I tell a lot of people I always have about 6 or 7 news sources that I constantly watch. Sometimes it interferes with my studies and everything. I do wear a lab coat. I'm not a scientist. This is a prop. Do your own research. All right? And so far, it's 54-0, not 45. Sometimes I dialects. Brain damage. Okay? And tell Liberty Gardens, yeah, there's a lot of transvestites out there, Liberty. Your strippers might be coming to your house any day now. Okay? Or at your schools. Okay? So check out Danger Dale. Who's Your Prepping Nurse? Prepping by Faith. Prepping by Sarge. Sassy Gal Prepping. Alpine Preparedness. Nay Nays. Northern Prepper. Garden State Gardener, he's working. And Lori's Thrifty Kitchen. Now remember, we're being under cyber attack and this is a long one. Okay. It is not climate change. CO2, CO2. One second. I'm Hubble's cat, and it's CO2, 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 CO2. Okay, if it was CO2, basic mathematics would have been dead 1979. Okay, we should have been heat sunk, cooked, blotted off the face of the earth with their mathematics. 1979. Do I look dead? Do you look dead? No. Okay? It's not CO2. Okay? We always have climate change. It's not CO2. No CO2. CO2, CO2, carbon tax, carbon tax. That's a bullshit. Comes out of. Okay? Not climate change. Alright? Second thing, it's planetary change. I keep telling this to people, and it goes over their heads. Okay? You have to understand the Earth is in motion always. 0 miles at the North Pole, 1,600 miles per hour at the equator. 0 miles at the South Pole. The North Pole and South Pole has the exact thing. They have each pole has a polar vortex, north and south, going opposite directions. All right? Polar vortex. Then when we reach down to our area, like Texas and Mexico, we have a solar vortex. Okay? Stratosphere is polar vortex on both sides. That's south and north. We're at zero speed. As it goes down to a certain latitude or longitude, I forget, it becomes a polar vortex. It starts spinning with the Earth's spin. All right, simple. But the Earth doesn't spin in one motion. The planet does, but the winds are different. Okay? Upper hemisphere goes one direction, southern hemisphere goes the other direction. Do we understand what Uncle Alan's talking about? Good. All right. We're having a polar vortex this year because of El Nino, because of the currents. This is why I tell everybody to watch the damn skies. Okay? There's 6 things we're going to cover. I'm doing the simple stuff. For Gnarly the Sheep. I'm Friends of Dad on YouTube. CO2, carbon, carbon, CO2, carbon, carbon. Greta Thunberg. Okay, enough's enough. Basic Math 1979. Either get your math right or I don't know with these people. They're delusional. We're not delusional. We just don't know what reality is. Okay? Now, cause of these effects is planetary. I have a whole another video on that. It's okay. Earth used to have 2 moons. Okay, one's a rogue moon in an elliptical orbit, and we have our moon in a normal stable orbit as it moves out. Bad thing about the second moon, if it comes back, it draws the moon back, the main moon, back to Earth. And that's going to cause weather problems, tidal problems, another ice age. Further it gets away, warmer the Earth gets. Closer it comes back in, we're all screwed. Okay, ice age. Now that second moon doesn't stay too long. It'll rotate with each other. Earth and the moon rotates in one direction. And then the other moon, the rogue moon, goes the other way. So, okay, so you have a counterbalance. This happens every 10,000, 12,000 years. But most of, let's see, it's kale. There it is. Most of mainstream media would criticize, marginalize, attack it, and then finally censorship. Mass media, corporations, the government, corporations, and the elite don't want you to know this. Because you're stupid, and they're smart. But keep it simple, Uncle Al. We don't have the IQ like you do. Yes. Okay? Now, this is what's going on. In Canada, between the solar heat belts, there's 2. One in Canada, where it's very warm, okay? And then we have, it's called a ferrocell. There's ferrocell and Hadley cells. They're tropospheric atmosphere engines, all right? We have one up in Canada, and we have one Hadley cell in Mexico and Texas. And you wonder why you're cooking. Because the Hadley cell is moving heat towards you. All right? Second thing is, we got this weird S-shaped curve. It's not supposed to be there. All right? This goes all the way up to Alberta, Washington State, Oregon, parts of California, Idaho, goes through all down to Texas and Mexico. It's like a whip. When I crack a whip, guess what's going to happen? You get storms, hail, not like little pea size, we're talking hail. Okay? We have 2 of these, but the main one's on the west coast. All right. Right now we have a cold section that's covering most of the coast and LA, which you should have nice temperatures. But in the valley, we're in a cup. The Central Valley, north of San Francisco, all the way up to Redwood City, it's cooking. And then you have the Bay Area Causeway, which the Bay Area to Tahoe, you get cool ocean breezes. So it splits the state in half. And me, I'm in the southern half. I'm cooking all the way from Stockton to Bakersfield. We cook. All right, actually it's Fresno to Bakersfield. We cook. All right. And then on the opposite side, we have this black line and the red line. All right, it's like a power snake. You crack the whip, and it goes all the way down through Texas and to Mexico. All right, Uncle may be a mad scientist, but I know my weather. All right, so right now we have to be careful. We have a cold insertion. It's not really cold, it's kind of cool, but some places, okay, you're going to have storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, you name it. Maybe some ice, maybe some snow. All right, it's going to be a very cold winter in those places. Some regions already experience this. All right, again, Hadley cells and Farrell cells. Now, some of you are in Florida. You're in the path of two different air cells. Excuse me. One side you got Hadley, the other side you got a Farrell. Okay? Florida, you bought the farm. All right? Between Florida all the way up to North Carolina, expect anything. It's called cracking the whip. You might, one day it's 90 to 100 degrees. Next day it's anywhere from 60 to 40 degrees. Or even colder. All right? We are in a super El Nino year, or I call it the transvestite weather year. All right? Nobody ever listens to Old Uncle Al? I don't care. But you're going to have an event. Could be an atmospheric event on July 12th. It could be an astronomical event. It could be a biblical event. It could be an economic event. I don't care. I give you warnings. All right? Like I told WD Glock and Roll, he's in Washington State. All right? You're at the whip. All right? Luckily, you're at the handle. You're not like Texas at the end of the handle with Mexico. Or you will get 150 degrees heat. All right? So don't complain. Be prepared for power outages. Seriously. All right? Because these two superheat belts are making the weather act funny. We're not supposed to have this. It's supposed to be a cooling trend going up that way, not coming down this way. That's hurricane season. That's raining and windy season. It goes away from Texas, which will be dry and cool. Instead, it's cool going down, which is a big no-no. Northern Texas near the Oklahoma Panhandle, you expect cold weather. I mean, cold. So I'll be cracking firewood really quick. All right? Again, up here, you have to be really careful. Unstable weather. All right? You might have the world's shortest growing season. One day it's 90 degrees to 100 degrees. Next day it's snowing. Go ask Gil at Patton's Family Compound. This is El Nino year. Okay? Also, it's a good chance you're going to get snow early this year in Idaho. Don't matter where you're at, you're in that snake. Alright? It could be you're growing vegetables one day, next day you're under 6 feet of snow. I'm not kidding, folks. This is a very unstable weather pattern. All right, because of the Farrell cells and the Hadley cells. But it's CO2, Uncle Al. We have to carbon tax everybody. No. All right? Plain no. Do your research. Stop listening to people who dance like unicorns and speak like unicorns and think like unicorns. It's not a reality. There is 72 genders, and we're all dancing and singing. No. There's 2 genders. There's one Earth, and there's no such thing as CO2. There is pollution, but not as they explained it. Their math is way off, or we should be all dead in 1979. I feel perfectly healthy. Okay, your math is wrong. All right, and remember, let's see. Go back to this model. It's a planetary change. All right, it's really wacky. You think the stratosphere polar vortex is bad up north? Down here, it's counter rotation, and it's 3 times worse than the northern polar stratospheric atmosphere. So Antarctica might get half the frost, and the other half either be Australia, South Africa, South America will be hooked up by ice bridge to one of these. And then you will see the new ice age. And get used to the second moon. And if any Democrat says, it's global warming, smack them in the head. Okay? Let's see. Remember, air and water do not move out of their positions. All right? The Earth is always moving. So if the Earth suddenly kind of shifts or stops, even by 4 inches, the air and water doesn't. Okay? At the equator, it's moving 1,600 miles an hour. Unless you're at the North Pole or South Pole, you're screwed. All right? A lot of places I've been figuring out, some place in South Africa, I know what spot. Some places in Western Australia, I know the spot. All right? Other places, you bought the farm. All right? I told a lot of people in South and Central America, you're going to like surfing. California, we don't have that problem. It's going to be a reverse effect for us. Most of Southern California, where I live, will be going up, not down, get flooded or hit by tidal waves. On the other hand, Bay Area is that part, forget it. You're going to get hit with tidal wave. If you're in like Seattle, Vancouver, tidal wave. All right? You guys drop, we rise, where I'm living at, goes up. So we don't get affected. However, we have the Ghost Lake, and that's going to stay with us for another 2 years. All right? You think it's bad now. Wait. All right? That explains everything. But it's CO2. We have to carbon tax everything. Gasoline is bad. No. Okay? It's like you have to slap these people into reality. But I'm not reality-based. I'm a figment of a Democrat or socialist imagination. Okay, enough of that. Reality. You don't get your act together, you're going to suffer in the next 2 years. Hard. All right, no kits, no buts, no nothing. This is plain and simple truth. Don't care what you believe in. Uncle Alan's right. You're wrong. All right, folks. I'll catch you later. Long live the Republic. God bless. Grow a garden. If anybody says it's racist, kick them in the nads. Be a nice person. Invite a neighbor or a friend to dinner and share a meal. Be a good person. And I'll see you later. You have a nice night. Bye now.